Star Wars fans, a lot of rumors are going around now after the Mandalorian Season 3 trailer dropped about how many more seasons is the Mandalorian going to go, and is it going to end in the movie theater? What's up guys, Mike, your guy loves Star Wars here. Today we're talking about the Mandalorian and how it's gonna end. I know when I put it like that, it sounds sad because we don't want the Mandalorian to end. We want it to go on forever, and it feels like forever since we got the Mandalorian Season 2, but we will finally be getting the Mandalorian Season 3 next spring. But how many more times are we going to be getting the Mandalorian? Is it going to be 5 seasons? Is it going to be 10 seasons? Is it all going to end in the movie theater? Let's start with the Mandalorian ending in the movies. Now, Pedro Pascal and a producer on The Mandalorian were in an interview with Fandango, and they were asked, do you think The Mandalorian will ever end in the movie theater? Before the producer could even say anything, Pedro said, I'll answer for him. Yes, he wants to. Yes, he wants to. And that's a great idea, and if it hasn't been considered already, it will be after today. Now, let's be honest, it's been considered. There's no way they haven't had all these meetings and nobody stood up and said, how about The Mandalorian ends in a movie theater? It ain't rocket science to come up with that one. I mean, Star Wars was built, created, and made for the movies. You look at the original trilogy, you look at the prequel trilogy, and you even look at the sequel trilogy in Rogue One, in the Solo movie. Just a more recent thing that Disney Plus has existed, and now Star Wars has existed on Disney Plus, with The Mandalorian, with the Book of Boba Fett, the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, now the Ahsoka show, and the Bad Batch, and all these cool shows. But we want Star Wars movies. What better than something that's already tried and true in The Mandalorian? I can guarantee you something. If the Mandalorian season, let's say 4 or 5, ends on a gigantic cliffhanger and it ends in a movie a year later, that movie is going to make billions of dollars. But like I said, we still don't know how many seasons the Mandalorian is going to get. But in another interview that was at D23 with Vanity, Katie Sackhoff, who plays Bo-Katan in the upcoming Mandalorian Season 3, she played Bo-Katan in the Mandalorian Season 2, and she voiced Bo-Katan in the Star Wars Rebels and the Clone Wars animated shows. But she was asked, have they told you how many seasons the Mandalorian's going to go for? And she said, yeah. But she was like, I'm never telling you guys. So they asked her, is it an amount that you thought it would be? Now, her response is what's making the internet go crazy right now because she said yes. The good thing with Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau is that they are consistently expanding this world, and I don't think that Star Wars will be lacking any content anytime soon. What does this mean? Is The Mandalorian going to run for 20 seasons? No. But it's going to break off into other things, with The Mandalorian being the main true thing right down the middle with branches coming off of it. You already look at it now. You have the Book of Boba Fett. You're going to have the Ahsoka show coming out. And you're going to have the Skeleton Crew. And you're going to have a bunch of other spin-off shows, maybe even a Bo-Katan spin-off show, some other spin-off shows. And it's all going to meet at the end in an end game for this Mandalorian timeline. So now if you took my hypothetical from earlier where I said the Mandalorian ends around season 4 or 5 on a giant cliffhanger and everybody goes to the movies to see it and to make billions of dollars, what if the Mandalorian season 5 ends on a cliffhanger, and the Book of Boba Fett season 2 ends on a cliffhanger, and the Skeleton Crew season 3 ends on a cliffhanger, and the Ahsoka show season 2 ends on a cliffhanger, all around the same exact time, and then a year later it all comes together in a Mandalorian movie in the theaters? It would make trillions of dollars. I mean, every Star Wars fan ever would have to come and see what happens. If Thrawn's the big bad, if Luke Skywalker's in it, if Ahsoka's in it, if the Mandalorian himself's in it, if Bo-Katan's in it, if Boba Fett's in it, if all these characters that are around this time are in this Avengers Endgame level movie, it would be insane. It would be a blockbuster of all blockbusters. And of course, Star Wars would be back in its home on the big screen in the movie theaters. So how long do you want The Mandalorian to go on for? How many more seasons of The Mandalorian are you willing to take? And are you okay with all these spin-off shows? Are you okay with maybe a Bo-Katan spin-off show? Maybe even a Book of Boba Fett season 2, and so on and so forth. There's really only one more question to ask, and the most important question: would you go see a Mandalorian movie in theaters? And if your answer is no, after listening to this whole video, I don't know what is going on in your head, because an endgame level movie for The Mandalorian would be insane. But tell me in the comments what you think. Smash like if you like this video, hit subscribe, and hit that bell so you get notified every time I post a video, and my pretty face will show up in the recommended feed of yours. Mandalorian Season 3 is next spring, but how many more seasons are we going to get? And is it going to end in an endgame level movie in the movie theaters. If you want to talk Star Wars with some Star Wars 30 people, there is a link in the description below to a Discord called The People Who Love Star Wars. And may the Force be with you. Always.